Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and welcome to a post-Cyber Monday edition of the Addicted to Social Media podcast. I'm Neal Weiser.
I'm Seth Goldstein.
And I'm Jody Raines.
And it's good to be back, guys. Sorry I missed you last week.
We missed you, Neal!
Ooh, Seth, chill. I had a... I know, really. I had to take my daughter and nephew. Suddenly I didn't know I was supposed to do that. But anyway, I'm here, I'm back, and... it's post Cyber Monday. Hope you guys found a lot of good deals online.
I didn't find anything, but that's just me.
Oh, I found a top of the line computer that's a $1,200 computer for $69 over at BJ's. So
Woohoo!
it's a warehouse market for those who don't know BJ's.
$69?
No, $669.
Oh, that's still a good deal.
A really good deal. So
Awesome.
Let's get into the stories, shall we?
Yeah, let's get into stories. So, what's going on with Google? Anything new and interesting, exciting
Well,
happening these
the
days?
interesting thing is with Google is that the Google Plus updates and links and stuff are showing up in the main search engine now. So when you post stuff in and you post up interesting stuff and people are searching for it, it'll actually show up in the search engines. So this kind of goes into my point of just because Google Plus isn't perfect yet, you should be on there because this stuff is ripe for the picking when it comes to social media and SEO and whatnot.
Hey, is the so individual posts that people post to Google Plus will show up in the search? Will that also show up to people who are not members of Google Plus but who may be searching? Cool.
So it's cool. So I mean,
but the only downside, really, right now with what's going on with Google, that change they implemented 2-3 weeks ago, where they're not reporting the searches that are done by people who are logged into Google. I don't know about you, but they're not reporting the searches.
They're not putting cookies on your computer.
Right, so you can't tell a lot of the searches, what keywords they used or how they're finding you. So even though it's helpful because now you're showing up, in some ways it's more difficult because now you don't know what words people are searching for.
It's a privacy thing that they're trying to stay out of the FTC's wagon here. But when I say they're showing up in the search engine, only the public posts. So if you post publicly, it'll show up in the search engines. If you post privately or to your circles, it will not show up.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, it's not.
I just to make sure everyone was aware of that. So
yeah, right, it's not like their Facebook,
Exactly. We're talking about sleaziness. Google Plus is launching a guide for politicians and candidates. So Barack Obama is on there now, and Newt Gingrich has been on there since day one. And I mean, so they're starting to say, hey, you can use Facebook, but you can also use us politicians. Here's a guide to how to use it. So
yeah, well, that's good. I think it's actually going to be a great platform for politicians to use because Hangout features the ability for them to much more easily connect with all of their constituents.
Do you think they will? You think they'll actually use the Hangouts?
If they're smart, they will.
Yeah, if they're smart.
I agree with Neal. I think they will if they're smart.
Well, politicians and smart don't usually go together.
It's not so much the 10 people that can be in the Hangout. It's the ability to have the audience to watch and understand. I feel like they're participating.
Exactly. I mean, because you don't get, normally how much FaceTime, no pun intended, but how much FaceTime do you get with a with your congressman?
Yeah, a lot of people aren't watching TV anymore too.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, speaking about that,
unless you're going to be making a nice sizable contribution, your FaceTime probably is a big fat zip.
Exactly, and talk about people not watching TV anymore. Apparently, the new YouTube record came about. There's 20 billion plus videos viewed on YouTube in October. So people are not watching TV; they're watching YouTube.
Yeah, and Hulu and Netflix and all that's all moving online.
I like Netflix.
And there's not bandwidth for it.
I like the new Netflix, like the old Netflix.
Which new Netflix?
I like the design. Let me put it that way. I like the streaming stuff.
Oh yeah, the streaming.
I don't like what they did at all, but.
Yeah.
Well, no one did apparently. So, but they're paying for it. Their stock price took a tank over the last couple of weeks.
But talking about stocks and all that stuff, and not liking what people do, at least what companies do. What's going on with Facebook, Neal?
Well, take your pick.
I mean, there's always something going on. Really not a Google Plus episode; it's a Facebook episode.
Yeah. Well, basically, the FTC Google finally settled with the Federal Trade Commission, and
not Google, Facebook.
Yeah, them too.
They both did, actually.
One of them.
Yeah, well, Google did it previously, now that I recall. But
Facebook,
Facebook is what I was referring to. But they agreed to changes to their various privacy or lack thereof practices. So hopefully things will start to get a little bit better for users. There's a lot of details, so I'm not going to get into too much detail because it's a very convoluted thing. But to be honest with you, I don't think it's really going to have much effect. I mean, basically, Facebook will play nice for a little while.
Well, they have audits every 2 years.
I've heard it was every 6 months from one source. I heard every 2 years from another source. But the audits are from a third party, some so-called independent third party, which remains to be seen who that's going to be. I have serious doubts that this third party is going to be transparent and release their methodology to how they're checking up on Facebook. And
it's going to be Mark's mom.
Reporting. Stop speaking into the mic.
It's going to be Mark's mom, Mrs. Zuckerberg.
Yeah. Probably, but the bottom line is that basically Facebook got away with just a slap on the wrist. Of course, it helps that their two of their lobbyists in Washington were both on the. I think one was the head of the FTC at one point, and one was on the board or the managing board or whatever it's called of the FTC. So it's not like they don't have the inside track on how to manage their dealings with the FTC. They got off very lightly with a slap on the wrist, no fines, although there was the threat of fines for like $16,000 for each infraction. But what does that mean to actually have an infraction? Who's going to actually enforce that? I think Facebook has got the FTC wrapped around their fingers. I think whatever it is that they have done or that they promised the FTC that they would do, we'll see. I don't trust that anything's really going to change, to be honest with you.
Wow.
I'm sorry to sound so cynical, but when your lobbyist is the former head of the agency that you're negotiating with, I mean, it just seems like something's not right there. And
well, a lot's not right with politics, Neal.
Well, it's not just politics; it's the corporate ownership of the political system. But that's a different story altogether. But we'll see what happens. Like I said, I think I think it's going to be a big bait and switch. They'll say they're doing one thing, and then they'll change something else in the background that no one's going to know about. And
but here's one thing. Here's one thing that they can do. What? Is one of the big things was that they're going to stop opting people in. They're going to have you opting people, making people opt out, and have you opt in. Now they're going to have to choose opt in. What they can also do is when you go in and there's a new feature, they can force you to choose. Do you want to use this feature? Do you not want to use this feature? That's completely in their right to do, and it forces you to make a decision. So it's like, I think that might be more better, because that way they don't take people off right off the bat. They warn you, saying, hey, there's new features, take a look at them, and if you want them, enable them now.
Better.
What?
More better.
I missed that.
I don't remember saying more better, but
here's why I said that it's sort of like a bait and switch, because they're saying that people will have to opt in the future to changes to the program. Well, according to what they said, and I'm surprised none of the news outlets have picked up on this yet, if Facebook makes changes to their privacy practices which will benefit users have to opt in to the beneficial changes, which means that a lot of people right now who aren't aware of what's going on, and maybe they haven't changed their privacy settings or whatever, are still using the old settings that may not be in their interests. So they're going to have to eventually opt into a new system. But until they do so, or how many people actually go and do these things? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's kind of clever, but I mean,
Joe's going like this.
So, all right, well, let's move along though, because
basically,
I'm sure it made sense on your planet.
Yeah, on the planet Wiser.
Well, no, look at it this way. If I said, let's say that I was constantly broadcasting your information to the public, and then they said, you can't do that, you have to change your practices, and anytime you change your practices, everyone has to opt in to do it, right? Yeah. So I changed my practices to make them more private, which means that if you don't opt in, you're still using the old practices, which were making you more public than you wanted to be.
Well, here's the problem. Yeah, and in a nutshell, Facebook is not looking out for the best interests of the users. Okay, when they make a change, it's not to our benefit; it's to their benefit. So therefore, it's the old caveat emptor, buyer beware. Mm-hmm. And for those of us who are diligent about checking our privacy settings, that's one thing. But there is a whole constituent of people who don't know they're unaware and they don't know they have to go in and check.
That's my point.
And that's where, to some extent, I think there should be some protection.
Right, but that's exactly my point, that Facebook is banking on the fact that 90% of their 800 plus million users
They're not tech savvy.
Have no clue that their privacy settings even exist. Therefore, they won't opt in to a more secure version,
Agreed.
privacy regime. That's my point.
Agreed.
I agree too.
So Facebook can sit there and say, yeah, we made all these changes, everyone's safe, and now you get to opt in, but how many people are going to actually do the opting in?
True.
So bottom line, I guess we could say that, again, goes back to what we've always said, that anything that you put online is public.
Exactly.
You just have to have that.
Or stays up there.
Yeah, forever.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens and the impact that it has, because it seems that Facebook really wanted this whole problem to go away in preparation for
their IPO.
Yes.
So there's some talk about them that they're going to file for their IPO as early as April 12th. But there's some speculation about that right now. But it's expected to be to have a valuation of $100 billion, which is a lot of money. But it's also talking about will the stockholders coming in really could it actually hurt Facebook?
How's that?
Because Mark Zuckerberg will lose control of.
That would be awful.
He won't lose control. They'll set up the stock situation sort of like the way Comcast does, where the primary owners, there'll be different classes of stock, in other words. So the A stock will be the voting stock, the B stock will just be I have a stock in Facebook. So he'll control he'll have majority control over the A stock, and therefore, he can do whatever he wants.
I see. But he'll be under the SEC then, and he can get in a lot of trouble for that. But
that just has to deal with their financial practices. So basically, they'll just have to make sure that they report everything according to the codes that the SEC requires for a public company, which is
exactly
a deal from the activities that they engage in, like the FTC issues with the privacy and things like that. And these are two entirely unrelated issues, actually, except whereas they may impact the court of public opinion, which may impact the stock price.
Exactly. So,
but it'll be an interesting thing. I mean, I think that it's going to be an interesting stock to watch. I think it's going to be it's going to be a huge IPO. I think people are going to leap in there, and there's going to be a huge bubble, sort of like what happened with Groupon, even, and also happens with other companies. There'll be a huge spike in their share prices. It'll probably last for a while, just because it is Facebook. But I think it's going to be a very volatile stock.
And you heard it here first.
You heard it here first.
We are not financial advisors, and we don't play them on TV, and we don't give out financial advice, so don't take our word for it.
Actually, I wasn't giving.
No, I know, just being careful. I don't want to get in trouble for giving out financial advice and not being.
I didn't tell anyone that they should buy or sell. I just said it's going to be a volatile stock.
On that note, let's move on to the EU officially agrees that nobody reads the terms of service agreements. So the European Commission is planning on to stop Facebook's practice of harvesting your political opinion, sexuality, religious beliefs, location, and so on, and sharing that data with advertisers without explicit user permission. So pretty much,
and this
the
is
EU
a surprise
wants.
because.
What's that?
This is a surprise.
No, it isn't. It's just governments are finally growing a backbone.
Well, it's interesting how the EU is taking a harsher stand on Facebook than the FTC is.
Are you surprised? They're a lot more socialist. They're a lot more. They're bigger on
It's
government.
nothing to do with socialism. I think they're just being smarter about it over there.
Hey, Europeans, don't let it go to your head.
What?
Don't let it go to your head that you're smarter than us.
Oh, you're speaking of the Europeans. I didn't hear what you said, but it'll be interesting to see what happens with that too.
But here's an interesting factoid. In another study, 39% of all tweets are in English, but Arabic is now the fastest growing language on Twitter.
So I guess that means we're done talking about Facebook.
Yes, we are.
Why do you think that is?
I think the Arab Spring. I think that was the biggest part. I mean, the fact that everyone was starting to use it for kind of crowd management, getting people out to protest and stuff, and a lot of it was going on in the Middle East, where the dominant language is Arabic. What do you think, Neal?
Well, yeah, it's partially that, partially also the fact that so many people first learned of Twitter during these protests, and so they're like, "Hey, this is great. All these people are using it, and I should get on there, and I should be part of this thing." So I think that's
so you
part
think
of
their
the
user
reason.
base actually grew?
Well, yeah. I just don't think a lot of people were aware of it simply because, I mean, you have to understand the internet penetration in the Middle East is extremely low as a percentage of the population. So, unlike in the United States, where about, I forget what the stats are, but like half of Americans are on Facebook or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got a very small percentage in these countries who can even afford a computer, much less, or much less spend much time on the internet. So I
But
think
apparently
it's
800 million or 800 million people, and 800 billion, we couldn't fit on this earth. 800 million people are on Facebook, so obviously someone's connecting to the internet.
well, of course they are, but that's just spread across the whole planet.
Yeah,
We're just
exactly.
talking
I
about
agree.
the
I agree.
And
Hey,
let me
guys,
grab-
you remember the diaspora?
Well, wait, hold on.
Oh, sorry,
Slow down,
sorry.
Seth. Slow down.
Before you jump to the next thing, so apparently, even though Arabic is the fastest growing, okay, because I don't want to leave anybody with a misimpression. So English leads at roughly 40%. Then there's Japanese at 14%.
Wow, really?
Yeah, Portuguese at 12%, Spanish 8%. Those
And
are the
where's
most
Arabic?
popular languages. What's that?
Where's Arabic in that?
Arabic is only 1%. So even
But
though
it's growing.
it's the fastest growing. So that's why, like I don't want to give anybody a misimpression, like, oh my God, there's all these people, on Twitter. But while the overall volume of English tweets has grown, okay, it's stabilized about 40%.
I gotcha.
Well,
So-
it makes sense as Twitter is expanding rapidly throughout the rest of the world.
Okay, and I just wanted to share that because I think that it may give someone a false impression that there's that Arabic is the second largest, but it's not. It's only one small percent. It's about the same as Thai and half of Korean.
Half of Korean.
Just in
Which
case you're
half?
wondering.
Which half? North or south?
What do you mean half of Korean?
Well, Korean tweets are 2% of Twitter.
So 1% is half of 2.
Yeah. So
Wow, you can
you've
do
got-
math, Jody.
Well, here you got English at 40%, Japanese 14%, Portuguese at 12%, Spanish at 8%. What do you think the next most popular language would be? Take a stab.
Hungarian.
Malay.
From Malaysia?
Malaysia, 6%. Then Dutch
Interesting.
at
Dutch.
3%.
Oh, are you serious? I see a lot of Dutch. Yeah, maybe
Dutch
they
is
just follow a lot of
3%.
people.
Maybe they're just very vocal. But it's only
Although they
3%.
are very vocal. They are very vocal.
You know who I almost never see on Twitter, which I would expect to see more of, is French speakers.
I get enough of them.
Showing up in this study.
Sorry,
It's not showing up in this study.
because it's not just France; it's also like Quebec and Canada.
And Belgium.
Yeah,
Who
so
did
I'm
this
just
study?
But I also see, where's Germany in that? 'Cause I see a lot of German in my feed.
Yeah, it says less than 0.5% of all tweets are in Chinese.
So half
the
is Chinese?
the Chinese have
Less
their
than
own
less than
Twitter
0.5%.
service.
Wow. Oh, but they have their own stuff. And most of it's blocked by the Great Firewall, so they can't really use Twitter.
You
Yeah,
know
I
what? That's an interesting point because you would expect French to show up here, and they don't. There's no French.
Yeah.
So I wonder if they missed a statistic here.
Who did the study?
Let's see. Who did this study?
Some
Somebody.
company out of Wisconsin.
I'm going to start publishing my own studies too, because apparently
Semiocast?
nobody. I think there was a study done that nobody ever checks the sources of studies.
I agree. It says
So we can-
Semiocast.
so we can
which
say-
is
We should do a study, guys.
Semiocast.
I have a proposal, guys.
I think there's a fault in their study.
Hey, so guys, I have a let's do a study an A2SM. Let's get A2SMstudies.com and let's run our own
Yeah.
studies.
Okay.
Studies are too much work.
Well, not if you don't
I
really
had
do a
that
good job
problem
in
in
them.
college, in high school. I don't want to study.
So tell us
Did you go to high
about
school?
diaspora.
Diaspora.
Yeah.
Diaspora.
Yeah.
Diaspora who? No.
Diaspora.
Well,
Diaspora, exactly.
For those of you who don't know, diaspora is another social network that was devised. Was it about 9 months ago?
More,
by,
yeah, no, maybe almost a year.
It hasn't been that long.
Yeah, but
All right,
they were in alpha and they didn't really go anywhere.
Yeah, well, they announced, but the difference is that it actually they unveiled it. It looks a lot like and has the same look and feel, or similar look and feel, I should say, to Google Plus.
Mm-hmm.
But the key difference is that it's peer-to-peer, correct?
You can actually host your own server of it.
What are you yawning during the podcast?
I know. He's just so into it today.
You're yawning during the podcast. What is up with
It's late.
Late?
No, it's not. Not yet.
Like
he's got the late afternoon doldrums.
Exactly. You guys tire me out.
Keep it up.
This
bring us to the picks of the week.
Yeah, this is just for a quick note. Anyone who thinks that we're long-winded, we're very not long-winded this time. We're only at 20 minutes.
Yeah, well, I always love my favorite part of the show is picks of the week. To be honest.
All right, so what, Neal? Mm-hmm. Oh, wise Neal, we bow to your wiseness.
As you should.
Doesn't let it go to your head. What's your pick of the week?
Actually, it's not so much a pick as it's a post that I came across a couple days ago, which I thought was really useful and enlightening. And it's a very simple process for you to find out how many websites your computer is secretly connected to. And it just walks you through the process. It does not seem to be working on the Mac. I think this is only PC-centric because you have to do it from the C prompt. Which is easy enough to do from a Windows PC. But it's a very simple command. You put in the C prompt and you let it run for a few minutes. Then you do another very simple command, and then print out and then generate a report from it, which would be nice if it was formatted a little bit better. But I let it run for about 2 or 3 minutes, and I couldn't believe how massive the list was of all the different websites and services my computer was either connected to at the moment or listening for or what have you. It was really eye-opening to see how much communications my PC has, with the broader internet. Sorry?
You're on a Mac.
Well, I still use a PC. I also have a Windows.
It was on your old PC?
Well, it wouldn't work.
That's what
I said.
Okay.
I run Parallels on Mac, which runs Windows 7 on the Mac for certain programs. So I tried it in there, but nothing showed up. Although I think I might have done it wrong because that was a couple days ago, and I tried it again this morning on the PC itself, and that's where I came up with the results. So I'll just have to try that again. But it was really amazing the number of different instances that were showing up, and I hadn't really done too much on my computer. So I really recommend, if you really want to see, because especially because we're talking about privacy and everything, if you really want to have a look at what your computer's doing and where it's communicating to, definitely click on the show notes for this post. It's a really easy thing to even though it's in the C prompt, it's really easy. It's really just 2 commands that you have to know, and that it walks you through. But I was just floored by. I mean, I knew there would be a lot of connections, but I didn't think there were so many. So definitely check it out. And a real good thing you might want to do is when you launch the report in Notepad, do a search for certain sites or maybe services or something. You'll be surprised at some of the places that you wouldn't think that you may be connected to.
Very interesting, yeah.
Good deal.
So my pick of the week is a site called Circle Count. It's sort of like a way to find out where you rank in Google Plus and whatnot. It's circlecount.com. And what I found interesting, I was just looking at while Neal was talking about his pick, looking at the most followed people on Twitter. I mean, recently Britney Spears overtook
Twitter or Google Plus?
What?
Twitter or Google?
Sorry, it's the most followed on Google Plus.
Not
And
Britney.
the most followed people, Britney Spears just overtook Larry Page, who's as the most followed person. So the top 10 are Britney Spears at number 1, Larry Page, Snoop Dogg, Mark Zuckerberg at number 4. Remember, in the past he was number 1 at one point. Tyra Banks, Paris Hilton, Richard Branson, Jessie June, which is apparently she's America's favorite glamour model. I've never heard of her. Sergey Brin at 9, and number 10, Mr. Google Plus himself, Vic Condotra. And then honorably mentioned at number 11, Tom Anderson from MySpace. He is very into Google Plus.
You know something? I think it's actually a strange but good thing that you have so many celebrities in the top 10, because I think what that demonstrates is that Google Plus is slowly reaching out and getting a broader audience.
Yeah, I mean, you still have people like Drake Radcliffe's at number 14. He's a very awesome photographer. Takes HDR photography. He's very accessible. He does hangouts all the time. Felicia Day's in there, Guy Kawasaki, and one of Neal's buddies, Ron Guerin, the astronaut, is at number 20. And
yeah, I was really surprised to see him so high. I mean, I knew he was there, but I didn't think he was so active.
Pretty high. And then we have Jerry Ryan's in here. Of course, we have Kim Kardashian, because some people find her fascinating. And we have at 40 we have Leo Laporte and Kevin Rose. So the geekery comes up towards the end of the top 100. So in the middle actually. So, but that's my pick. That gives you a lot of neat little stats on who you're following, who's following you, your rate of increase in followers. It gives you some what was your most tweeted most plus posts, what you plus the most. A lot of great little stats in there. It's kind of like ThinkUp I've talked about in the past, Ginger Trapani's program, but it's a lot more. I think it's done a lot better. It's not running off your server; it's running off of their server, and it's a little bit more complete. They've really done a lot with the limited API that they have. So. Something to keep in mind. That is CircleCount.com.
Looking forward to when they expand that API, but hey.
Yeah, you can do a lot of stuff with that. So Jody, what does Jody have for us?
I have an interesting app called Vocalize, and for those of you who aren't familiar with it, you can either, if you own a website, you can add it on your website or your blog, and what it does is it reads the website to you, so you can listen to it anywhere. If it's not on the website, you can add it as an app on your phone. Basically, you create an account, you log in, and you can create a playlist, and
awesome.
It'll read the blogs to you. But there is a widget that you can incorporate on a website as well, so it makes it easier for people to listen, and particularly now since more and more people are using mobile devices. To surf the web, and they're very mobile. This is a great way to get your content listened to while people are in their vehicles.
So can we get your voice reading to us?
It's not my voice; it's the vocalized voice.
Oh, we can't.
Does it talk like Siri?
Hello, Bill.
A little different than Siri.
A little different.
Yeah.
So.
Is it a little more human sounding?
Hello, Bill.
Because I don't know.
Siri,
with all the
actually,
money
I don't think Siri's that bad.
Oh, I can't stand it.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, with all the money Neal. They had, you figure that they would have put in some a little bit better voice or something.
Well, you know what my hope is for Siri, that because it is cloud-based, that as time goes on, they add more and more human kind of structure and sentences and, little nuggets and what do they call them? Treasure eggs. Easter eggs, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I guarantee you they will. I mean, one of the things about Siri, it is a remarkable technology, and it's just so useful. And they've been working on this for 15 years. I mean, there was a company that was doing...
well, they bought the technology, basically.
Well, they bought the company called Siri, but there was another company called Nuance.
Drag and Dictate.
And I've been playing around with their stuff since about 1999 or so. It's gotten dramatically better, but there's been a lot of money poured into this market for a long time, and it's nice to see that it's finally filtering down to the consumer.
Yeah, definitely.
Very cool.
Shall we go into how people can get in touch with us and our announcements?
Wow, this I think is going to be our shortest show.
I know we're probably end around a little bit over 30 minutes.
Wow,
the shortest show on earth.
It's the holiday. It's the middle of the holiday show.
In the middle of the holidays. Happy holidays, everybody. All right, so while you're in the holiday shopping, listen to us, but also check out our friends over at crazygeek.tv. It's the Europe's craziest tech geeks out there. Moritz and Anthony are crazy nutcases. Anthony's from Belfast, and Moritz is our friendly German. And they go a little bit more in depth into other technology other than social media. They're crazy. They're kooky. I forget the Animaniacs song, but that's pretty much what they are. What? They're Animaniacs.
Sounds like the Addams Family.
We want to hear from you guys. Give us a call. Country code 1-478-A2SM 118. That's also known as area code, country code 1-478-227-6118. Give us a call. I still have yet to figure out how to put them into the video podcast, but I will figure out how to do that if you give us a call. You can email us, editors@a2sm.com. You can tweet us at A2SM. You can email. You can find us on YouTube at A2SM Official on YouTube or a2sm.org/YouTube. And also you can usually get a little sneak peek to the next episode there, because I usually edit it after the show on Wednesday and upload it right away. So it's not publicized, but it's usually up there pretty early. Follow us on Foursquare, a2sm.org/Foursquare. Circle us on Google Plus, people, please. I beg of you. Which is a2sm.org/Google Plus, or a really long string, which I don't remember. So, Neal, where can we find you?
Okay, well, I'm pretty much all over the internet at Neal Weiser, NEALWISER, nealweiser.com, at Neal Weiser on Twitter. You can find me on Google Plus.
a2sm.org/NEAL, all lowercase.
Yeah, I apologize. I've been nursing a bit of a cold. I'm trying to stifle a cough here as I'm speaking.
So is that what that was? I thought you forgot.
That was my pause, because I didn't want to start coughing and hacking into the mic. So, but yeah, you can find me there, and I'm going to have to mute myself for a second. So excuse me.
Jody, we're going to find your lovely... You didn't mute yourself, bud.
Good try.
Nice try muting, Neal, but it didn't work.
Wait a second. You can still hear me?
I heard you cough.
But I have the little mute thing on my microphone. I turned it to mute.
It doesn't work.
We still hear you.
Oh, you know what? It's probably the mic on the computer itself, which shouldn't be. Whatever.
Anyhow,
sorry.
Jody, where can we find the lovely, beautiful Jody?
You can find me at webmarcom.net or my blog, webmarcom.net/blog. You can find me at the A2SM Palace on Google+, a2sm.org/Jody, Jody.
All lowercase.
All lowercase. On Twitter, you can find me as Sunswept, SUNSWEPT. Find me on LinkedIn, find me on Facebook, Jody Rains. Ask me to friend you, and I'll friend you back.
Yep, and you can find me a2sm.org/Seth, SCTH, all lowercase. Find me over at Twitter, Seth Goldstein, SETHGOLDSTIN on Twitter. And pretty much just go to a2sm.org/Seth, and you can find out where else I am online, because I'm everywhere. So, Neal, Mr. Hacker, literally.
Excuse me again.
Take us out,
also
buddy.
It's that psychosomatic thing. You know, you're lucky that I'm even speaking today, because over the last 5 days, I've lost my voice 4 times. So
we're just so lucky.
I'm all the coffee.
We're blessed, so Neal.
We're so fortunate.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Just for you guys.
Hallelujah.
Well, this has been the Addicted to Social Media podcast, where Neal's voice is more important than... No, I won't say it.
What?
What?
I was going to make a joke, but you guys wouldn't appreciate it. So
I
I
couldn't
just
hear
lost
you.
signing.
Yeah, you
Oh, now
figured
you
out
can't
that
hear
one.
me. Okay. Well, it's a good thing then.
Yeah.
So this is the Addicted to Social Media podcast. I'm Neal Weiser.
I'm Seth Goldstein.
And I'm Jody Rains. See you next time.
And we'll probably have a longer one next time. Hey, 33 minutes. Perfect. Bye.
Bye.
Ta-ta.